My video for July the 30th, 2017 is entitled, Who Benefits from a Neutral Stance? Over the years, I have received many messages from those proclaiming a supposed New Age spirituality, promoting the idea that truly spiritual people are neutral in regard to world events. The astute individual hearing this will ask him or herself the question, who benefits from such an ideology? Yes, the idea that we are all one is at the core of such a belief system. This may sound reasonable to many, as it did to me for a good while when I explored this kind of spiritual ideology. However, it has the practical effect of eliminating discernment, which is required if we are to truly love ourselves and each other. Indiscriminately allowing an anything goes attitude makes the world a very dangerous place, or makes the world the very dangerous place that it seems to be. It might work in an ideal world, yet how many of us honestly think the world is ideal? Not me. So who benefits? Obviously those with a malicious agenda to hide. And what might that be? Google Georgia Guidestones, 10 Commandments for a New Age of Reason. Indeed, I took the advice that I just gave about Googling the Georgia Guidestones to refresh my memory. I haven't looked at it in a while. I knew the first one was about, as I would say it, reducing the world's population to a manageable 500 million. But the way it's actually worded is maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Another one is balance personal rights with social duties and avoid petty laws and useless officials. Again, the New World Order that is proposed by whoever put those guidestones up, and the 10 Commandments are in 8 modern languages, but they also have inscriptions from 4 ancient languages as well. And it's promoting an elite establishment's version of what the ideal world would be. Again, getting rid of all the useless eaters. The only people that are useful are those that serve the agenda of the New World Order elite, which, if you haven't noticed, is not loving, is not kind. They have all sorts of ways to reduce world's population, including, of course, the continuation of war on any front imaginable where they can kill people outright or cause as much disruption in people's lives as possible. But they don't stop there. They put poison in our food by genetically modifying it. They give us medicines, supposedly, that poison us. And as I've said in other videos, my dad was taking so many prescriptions at the time before he died. It was insane. I mean, there were over 20 different pills that he had to take every day. Prescription drugs to counterbalance the effects of other prescription drugs. The insanity of our world baffles the mind of anybody that has any credulous viewpoint left. I mean, a credulous viewpoint being one that isn't manipulated and brainwashed into us by our education system and by our mass media. Folks, I live for an awakening. As I've said again and again and again, I want to see the kingdom of heaven on earth. But the kingdom of heaven is based on truth and love. Those two things have to work together, truth. Now, just ask yourself the question, and be as honest as you possibly are able to be. Is what we are being told in the mainstream media the truth? Or is it a collection of carefully crafted lies that dumb us down and get us to think in a certain way that serves the elite establishment so that they can survive while everybody else dies. What is the motive? Ask yourself. Be discriminating. Use your powers of thought and reason to consider what we are being told and the diet we are being fed. And I don't mean just the food that we're eating. I mean the ideas that we're digesting in all of our systems of control, and understand that it is a control grid. There are certain malevolent beings that have risen to the top. We are not all one, and we cannot be neutral. If we're neutral, we're insane. Insanity is a neutral thing. It doesn't matter, because life doesn't matter, because human values don't matter, because nothing is real, nothing is true. Everything is relative. How many times have you been told that in your schooling or in your education system? The whole education system is a control grid. They want to perpetuate the idea that only their belief is relevant. Anybody that holds an opposing or different viewpoint is seen as irrelevant and, again, a useless eater. Somebody that has no credibility, somebody that should not be allowed to exist on this planet, that they, the elite, want to control. Now, ask yourself, where is the loving God? Where is the God that created all of this? And I, for many years of my life, most of my life, believed that the Bible God was the loving God, until I started looking at it with a critical eye. And I realized that the God that wrote the Bible, the God of the Bible, is a jealous God, an insecure God, a God who takes lives, who kills and makes alive. That's actually a scripture. I kill and I make alive, and there is no one but me. It's an egocentric God, not a loving God. Folks, we need to wake up. We need to realize that we have been lied to over and over and over again. We shall know the truth, and the truth will piss us off, but ultimately set us free. But we have to be willing to let go of most of what we've been taught, because even though there's been truth mixed in with it, it's adulterated with a whole bunch of lies and a whole bunch of half-truths and absolute untruths. And we need to have the gift of discerning of spirits. Not everything is from a single God. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There is duality. Duality is not the problem. Duality is the way that we are presented with alternatives. What are we going to choose? Are we going to choose the selfish way, the service to self way, or are we going to love one another, which is the highest service to the true self, the self that is infinite and eternal, that has all the gifts within itself? As Anastasia said, all the gifts are within you. I guess that was actually Fallujah, her son, who said that. But all of the gifts are within us, but they need to be awakened and they need to be nurtured. And it's about love. It's not about control. It's not about population reduction. Thank you for listening, and namaste.